This is DHG, and I'm doing my review of Condemned 2. I mean, not Condemned 2, Condemned Criminal Origins on the Xbox 360. Very, very innovative game for its time. And my review for it is, wait for it, average. I was going to give it a bad score, but I decided to lump together all the things considered and the sum of all the parts, because there was one really, really damning thing that happened to me during this playthrough, which never happened before. I played through this 3 times since 2006, and this is the only time this has happened to me. So taking that in consideration, I decided to give it an average score because it was game breaking. Alright, first things first, graphics. Go through a little bit of the gameplay here. That's not the best video to showcase it because brightness was coming up way too bright for some reason in the beginning there.
We're connected, Thomas. Transfer data when ready.
I couldn't figure out where the evidence was here. As you can see, it looks pretty good overall. There's some bad textures in there. Some things just don't look as smooth as others. What I noticed was the facial models, whether it's Ian or Van Horn's looked alright, but Serial Killer X, SXK, no, SKX, what they call him in this game, the guy that you're tracking down the whole time, his character model looked a little funky. His hair kind of looked plasticky. It's the only way to describe it. But other than that, like the models with the hands, some of the rifles or shotguns look pretty bad, but overall the environments, everything was very on an even keel. You didn't see any really bad textures popping out. The lighting was alright. The environments, I thought they did the environments really well. It was a very whole urban decay feel until you get later on in the game. But most of it, you're going through derelict buildings, which all look good. Burning down buildings, very convincing. Later on, a house. The house particularly impressed me. I'll bring that video up real quick here. Which one was that? That was number 9.
We're connected. Go ahead.
I don't know if I walk by and get a good shot of this or not. Let's wait till they get done with their conversation.
Got it. Strange. It looks important, though. Look around. There may be more to this riddle.
Okay, right there. Go back a teeny bit. The railings, I don't know why, but I looked at that and I thought, damn, that looks really good. I mean, you can obviously see some aliasing down here. This aliasing doesn't bother me much. But considering it's the 360, it was probably using ×2 MSAA, I'm guessing. But overall, it looks very good. It almost looks like it has kind of a polish to it, too. But that was something, I thought it was impressive. The game's graphics are pretty good overall, which is not surprising considering that Monolith made this. Monolith also made Fear. They later on went with the Lord of the Rings games. What are they called? Shadow of Mordor and Shadow of War, I think they were called. But very technically impressive games, and this is no different. So the graphics were great. Controls, mostly they work well. Let me find a combat scene here to show you some of the nuts and bolts of what you'll be doing if you decide to play through this. When I'm not shooting someone in the face with a shotgun, that is. Actually, another video would serve my purposes much better. Here's the combat for the game. This plays into the controls. Yeah, pick up that health. So this is pretty much the combat. It's very brutal and is very satisfying. Condemned 2, which I'm deciding if I want to continue on Halloween Horror with Condemned 2 or not. They sort of expand into this, but for what it was, this was a great start. The controls can be a bit funky though, because they have a weird layout. It's not that, the X and Y axes on the right thumbstick's a little funky. I mean, it works. The dead zone's a little high, but it's not like Dead Space was, not even close. It's very easy to get used to, but to attack, it's obviously the right trigger. I mean, it's not that archaic. It doesn't go back to like the PS2 era days when they were trying to figure out, first-person controls. But the block is pressed down on the left thumbstick. Now, I thought that would have been much better remapped to, let's say, the left bumper. It would have been much more responsive. Response time's also an issue when pressing the buttons. Sometimes it just doesn't work. Overall, sometimes you'll press a button and your character doesn't follow through with the action. But they could have remapped the controls a little bit better, and it would have been a lot easier to play. Other than that, the controls are very simple. It's a very basic game in terms of controls. Gameplay, you run around trying to track down I keep forgetting the acronym, SKX, Serial Killer X. He runs around killing other serial killers. It's kind of like a Dexter type thing. If you've ever watched Dexter, it's pretty much the same thing. Killer kills serial killers, but you're tracking him down. And you'll do little like forensic puzzles and all that. Well, they're not really puzzles. It's kind of a very on-the-nose investigation. Very easy to figure out, but you'll do that. It breaks up the gameplay a bit. It's pretty cool. You go further on in the levels, you pick up some new weapons. You might find a fire axe or a sledgehammer to open up a particular area, which might give you access to a firearm, which are rare in this game. And you smash some more dudes in the faces with fire axes and sledgehammers. Very fun game. So the sound. Oh, the crunches. Every now and then, it would take me too long to find a specific instance of this in the video, so I'm just going to describe it. Every now and then, the attacker will capitulate. They'll just fall down on their knees and just kind of look at you like, finish me. And you have the face buttons, the D-pad. If you don't know what the D-pad is, it's this thing. My index finger's on. There's 4 different finishing moves. You can pick any one of them, and they all sound great. They're all crunchy. Anytime you smack something with a fire axe, you hear a nice satisfying crunch. The audio is very good. The music. Ambient music isn't really that apparent in this game. You'll hear a lot of strange sounds like the normal sounds you might hear in a city, like subways and all that stuff, cars going by. But in terms of ambient music, this isn't like Fatal Frame, Resident Evil, Silent Horror. Well, exclude Resident Evil. but some of the other games do ambient music well. This one doesn't include a lot of it. It's just very silent, and that plays into its strengths because you're running around smashing people in melee combat, or if you suck, they're smashing you. And if you have a really loud ambient music playing in the background, you can't really hear those footsteps. So that's what you'd be listening for. But the music is pretty good overall. Story. I like the story. You see, this did something that the successor, Condemned 2, did not do. It managed to keep it small and keep it believable. I'll comment more on Condemned 2 when I eventually do that game, but this one is very small, it's very simple, it's localized, you can wrap your head around it very easily, and it doesn't go off and open up all these different rabbit holes that they can't explain later on. They saved all that for the second game. But this one's pretty cool. You're tracking down a serial killer, which only kills other serial killers, that knows you somehow, certainly likes you. I thought the story was pretty good. The end was... I thought they could have done the end a little better. At the end, you have a choice on whether you pick revenge or redemption. Or compassion, they call it. I picked compassion, but the dude ended up somehow unbounding his hands from behind his back and shot himself anyway, so... How'd he do that? Where'd he get the gun? Okay, that's a little story. Here's what damn near killed the game's score. Stability and bugs. I'll just bring this one right up since I was furious when this happened to me. Chapter 7, the library. Right here. See that? Oh wait. That must have been after I got through. Okay, yeah. Either that or I edited it out. But here's the problem. Right here, you go in, you see a bunch of these dudes. They're shooting at something over here. They run into the elevator. You go in. And eventually you make your way into the elevator. Now, a couple times when I tried to do this, I both tried to get around this by using restart checkpoint. I tried to restart the entire chapter numerous times, and after about a combination of both of the above, 24 or more times and several hours, I ended up getting through this. But you come in here and you're supposed to be able to hit the first floor button. I couldn't. You could only come in, and the only thing that was able to interact with is the basement button. You're already in the basement. Say you would just sit there in the elevator. You can't progress. It's a game-breaking bug. And considering I played through this 3 other times before, that would give me a 33% error rate. So 1 out of every 3 people playing this may have not potentially finished the game beyond this point. And I looked up if anyone else was having this bug, and I saw posts going all the way back to 2006, so it was something a lot of people experienced. And apparently there was another bug here where the dude that they were shooting at just a little bit ago here. Yeah, the guy that they were shooting at somehow makes it into the elevator. And I read that when they get in there, the dude just starts attacking them, kills them. They can't fight back. So, game-breaking bug. The only reason why I didn't give it a worse score and what I originally was going to do with bad is because overall it is a really good game. But game-breaking bugs are unforgivable, just flat out. They could have patched this. They never did. So, stability and bugs, horrible. Game-breaking bugs are inexcusable. My opinions. I love the Condemned franchise. With the game breaking bugs in this one that should have been addressed, and the overall narrative failure of the second one, I read online, since I'm curious if this game would ever get a reboot, the franchise, they were looking for developers, a small development team to try to head up a new Condemned game. I hope it happens. I'd love to see more survival horror games out there because, quite frankly, survival horror games at the moment suck. It's all run and hide, no combat, trial and error, bunch of bullshit. But there it is. There's my review for Condemned, Criminal Origins. I understand this game's also available on PC. I don't know how to get to it unless you have a disk drive, and if you have a disk drive in your PC, it must be ancient. Like mine. My disk drive's not hooked up though. And you can also play it on Xbox 360. It never came out on PlayStation, the second one did though, so if you want to play it and you have an Xbox, I'm pretty sure it's backwards compatible, go for it. Just remember, if you get to Chapter 7 and you can't use that elevator, just start restarting the chapter like crazy. That's DHG, my review for Condemned Criminal Origins. Average.